Say hello.
Hello.
I have been living in Southeast Asia and working in Southeast Asia for around about 30 years. I first came here November 1993, and I sort of stayed because it was and still is a great opportunity for money with a lot less hassle. I did manage to retire when I was 44 with some good investments, which I did quite a long time ago. Regardless of that, can you own a business in Cambodia? Can it be foreign owned? Can it be 100%? Well, we're going to take a little motorbike trip, and with that, just going to zoom around some of the sights and sounds that you have seen before, but it is quite a small city. The answer is yes, you can. Now, let me go to one article here, and I will pop it up on the screen as well. A private limited company is a limited liability company with a private ownership, and it's most common for business entries into Cambodia. The private limited company can be 100% owned, foreign owned. So yes, it must have 2 to 30 shareholders and require a minimum of 1 director who could be local or a foreigner. So basically your girlfriend could be a shareholder and her mum, and they would hold a minimum percent. They don't need to, like in Thailand, own 51% of the company and you own 49. You can own the vast share. Now, I'm not a business expert with that, but you can find business experts who'll be willing to help, but of course there is a fee for it. This is one here. This is IPS Cambodia, and they do lots of things related to business, properties, etc. like that. And you can see their website there, which is ips-cambodia.com. If you are interested, go and email them, go and look at their website, and if you do eventually come here, pop along and see, and they'll be more than happy to help. We have spoken to these people, my beautiful partner and myself, when we did some videos related to properties that you can find for 350 American dollars. And there is another website that can help you. I haven't used it for years. It's called Move to Cambodia, and the website is movetocambodia.com, all one word. And there you can buy a book and something, but it will give you a brief outline. There are other companies that do businesses here, obviously here in Siem Reap and Phnom Penh. They're there to help you, but they do charge. But they may be able to cut a lot of the red tape. Now, what do you need? Step 1, a business location, getting a lease, a sale purchase agreement, office business location of your choice. Open up a bank account, find a lawyer or accountant to secure the ministry documents, hire your staff. Your staff, let's say you're going to open up a coffee shop or a small cafe or whatever, or a bar. I would say you could actually pay them $10 a day, and hopefully with tips they could get up to maybe $25 to $30 a day, which would be, you could say, they would work 6 days of the week. They would have 1 day off, and of course all the national days where you would need to include into that. And so that's quite a good salary. Before it used to be a lot less. I think it's a lot higher. In the capital, it's more. Here in Siem Reap, the cost of living is a lot lower than the capital. Now, there is one business I do know here called Joe's Burger Bar and Grill. Now, I don't know who the actual owner is, whether it's him or his wife, but they seem to be quite successful because they do British food. They do it at a good price. So don't expect, if you come from America and expecting that you can charge $20 for a hamburger, forget it. It's just not going to happen. The top-end hamburger, maybe in the Hyatt Hotel, maybe like 15. In a good restaurant, maybe 8. In just a normal restaurant, it's like 6. In some restaurants, you can get really good hamburgers for like $2.50 with that. So these are the things. But what kind of business would you do? This is where it comes into what's here. There are some limitations, like you can't own a driving business related to tuk-tuks or pass-up, the free wheels, that's sort of like no, because you're taking away possibly the livelihood of locals here. A bar, it's pretty common that people do, but it's the same as in Thailand. There's so many bars and there's so much competition, it's sort of and they're expensive to run. A restaurant can be, but there's 1,000,001 restaurants here. So the location and what's different to your restaurant to other restaurants. But come the high season, now that COVID is out the way, there are many opportunities. Locations, there are so many different locations, but it's really going to depend on what your customer is going to be. Is it going to be the foreigner, the expat, or is it going to be the local? Most foreigners would go for the expats and the tourists who may come there. So the tourist season is only 4 months of the year, and it does trickle by for the rest of the month. Again, we're talking about non-COVID years related to that. And you can make a income. You're not going to make as high as a restaurant in the United States and America, but you can make a very comfortable living and maybe take 2 or 3 breaks per year. But for the first 5 years, the answer is no. Another one that I would consider, but it really depends on the location, is going to be a coffee shop. Now, why do so many people open up a coffee shop? Because it's incredibly cheap to maintain and the profits are high. Look at Starbucks, you're paying $5 per coffee. Here, I think for a Frappuccino is $3.50 right in the city centre, so it is a bit cheaper. But a lot of people, especially the locals, you can get a Frappuccino for, let's say, $2, which is a lot cheaper, and it tastes exactly the same. So you need the milk, you need the coffee, you need the sugars, you need all the flavors. It's not really expensive. To be very honest with you, you can possibly set up a coffee shop for around about $10,000 for the first month, and then the rest of it will be related to your lease, your electric, your supplies, and how much you're going to sell the coffee for and what's your profit. The main thing is that if you make a cup of coffee and it costs you $1 with everything inside it, then you sell it for $2.50. So if you're cutting your costs down to, let's say, 50, 60, 70 cents, but it's still good quality coffee, then you can sell it for $1.52. But obviously you need to make that magic number of 2.5 to exist. Where would you do it? This is the thing. There are coffee shops here. There's some that do really well. There's some that don't do well at all. It really is the location. I think some of the huts outside, or these like boutique coffee shops which may be outside like a supermarket, for example, and as long as it has some electric fans, that's the thing. You go into a coffee shop, it's a hot day, you want it shaded, you want the electric fans. Many of them just have the coffee shop with no fan at all, so they do the takeaway service. And the takeaway service, you would need to also have the food delivery with your business. There's a couple here. There's Food Panda, there's Nam24, and there's another one. Once in a blue moon, if I want to have an Indian curry, then that's something that I would get. Break time. This one I found was quite interesting for those people who are interested in starting a business. This is a bit of a shocker. How much does it cost to start a business in Cambodia? It's saying there the Cambodian LLC incorporation costs about 7,960, so that's 8K, and total costs are going up to 16,000, which is really expensive. Now, I'm not too sure if that is for I'm not too sure if that's for a whole coffee shop, for example, or a multi-corporation. I'm not too sure if that's a foreigner price or if that's the local price as well. So that would be that you need to consider into your facts. Go to these, I would say, highly recommend, go to these specialists who live here. They speak really good English. They understand the law. Again, they will charge a fee, but they will possibly do everything for you. The same as the visa agents in Thailand. You pay them a fee. It's a lot easier than doing all the red tape yourself because they do it all the time. But it is rather expensive in that way. I hope you enjoyed this motorbike journey. I think there may be a little bit more for me to put in, but this is what I would give you the advice for. If you're going to do a business, find something which people need, but they don't know they need, but is useful, practical, and it's affordable by the locals, and you could say the foreigners or the people or the expats. So it's the tourists, the people who live here, and the locals who live here, like the Cambodian people. Location is real key. So where is the most traffic going to come from? And there's no real shopping center. There's like high streets here. So where is? Today we went into one shop that we thought it was a coffee shop, but it was a Chinese milky bubble tea shop, and I just don't like milky sweet bubble tea at all. So but we went inside. Now we know what it is. It does work. It's really busy. Maybe there are 20 or 30 motorbikes outside, and they charge about $2.50 for the coffee in a air-conditioned. It's a 3-story building. It's actually very nice with that one. I'm not too sure if I have it in the footage here. I will check a little bit later. You've got to obviously keep your costs down. You've got to find something that people want. Now, there has been a new restaurant which I may go to in the near future, and it's called the Aussie Bar, or it's called Aussie, and there they actually do pretty good food, and it's got some good recommendations. I haven't been there. So you can get a chicken burger for about $1. I could imagine it's actually quite small. Or you can get a steak for about $14. I think it's actually quite cheap, and it's something I'm going to check out in the near future, just to see what it's like, possibly around about Christmas time, not too sure, or maybe on Thursday. That's just another idea, as long as I don't have to go to the dentist. It's the same as anywhere else in the world. You're trying to find a niche market, you've got to find the location. Bricks and mortar and online is essential in the 21st century. Even here in Cambodia, it's a lot of people do the food delivery, and you see all these motorcycle drivers zipping around, the same as any other city and country in the world. And don't expect to be a millionaire from this business, but do expect to work hard with 16-hour days, 7 days a week for at least 5 years. But it can work. It really can work, but you have to put the effort into it. It's not just like, okay, owning a bar and sitting there and drinking beer and greeting all the customers and drinking the profit away. You have to really work at it. And I would even suggest picking up some of the local language. So the people who you are working with, they're going to respect you, etc., etc. The tax on it, I think, is around 20%. Don't quote me on that. Again, if you go to the specialists like IPS, they can help you with that, with all that information. Is it worth it? Well, they say when you do a business, afford what you can lose. So if 20,000 is something that you possibly could lose, that's US dollars, then it is a possibility. But I'm not too sure about the registration fees. They seem to be incredibly expensive. But people do, and they have been, like quite a few companies here, successful. It just takes a long time. You can have a very comfortable life, and eventually you can slow down with the work when it has the good reputation. But do remember, like in any other business, there's always some other competition, and you've always got to beat the competition. And that's the challenge of most businesses. Why do the customers come to you when there's the choices of others? It could be the food, it could be the staff, it could be the price, it could be the promotions. The list goes on and on. Let's leave it there for now, and I will wish you a happy day. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.